Hello there, wrestling fans. This is John Bullard, and please welcome to Chicagoland Championship Wrestling presents Pro Wrestling Tonight. Our guest for this evening is the manager of champions, the most hated man of all of the Midwest wrestling scene and probably all across the United States, Chazz Moretti. Now, before we have him on the show, take a look at this highlight video of what Chazz Moretti does best. A man who is known for walking the walk, talking the talk, and causing nothing but destruction.
Ready 2020, because it's coming. The Moretti Agency is coming to Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. Chazz Moretti, the agent to the stars with a client list from here to Mars, is coming to Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. People, you will be treated. You will be privileged to see the greatest of all managers to ever represent talent in this modern era. I take wrestlers and I mold them into contenders. I take contenders and I mold them into champions. And once they've attained championship status, they will be forever remembered as the greatest to ever grace the squared circle. And the reason for that is very simple. They have Chazz Moretti representing them. Get ready. 2020, it's going to be the year that the world will never forget. Chazz Moretti and the Moretti Agency is coming to Chicagoland Championship Wrestling.
Wrestling fans, welcome back. And our guest of this evening, the distinguished managers of champions, the man who has caused more riots than any rock concert, the one and only, the legendary Chazz Moretti. Chazz, thank you so much.
You know, I'm going to tell you something before I shake your hand. What did you just call me?
Well, you are known as a self-proclaimed manager of champions.
Let me explain something to you right here, right now. Do you know what a manager is? Do you have any idea? I'll explain it to you. A manager is a filthy, disgusting, flesh-eating parasite, the likes of which I will never fully tell you about. Don't you ever call me a manager. I'm an agent.
Ladies and gentlemen, I stand corrected. The agent of the stars.
That is correct. The agent to the stars with a client roster from here to Mars. But now, you know what? Before you ask me any questions, I want to ask you a question, John.
Okay.
How does it feel? How does it feel to be you sitting this close to, actually interviewing, actually speaking to the one and only Chazmanian Devil, Chazz Moretti? Are you not mesmerized? Are there not chills running up and down your spine? Is this not the greatest moment of your life? And you don't even need to answer because I know it is. So now that we got all that out of the way, what would you like to know?
Well, Chazz, first and foremost, thank you for being on our show. Now, you're going to be here on April 4th in Michigan City, Indiana, for the presentation and debut show of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. And we know that you're going to bring in some top-notch stars that's going to be part of your agency. When people that may not be too familiar with, you say there may not be wrestling fans at first, but they're when it comes to the show. Tell them a little bit about yourself. When did you first break into the wrestling business?
You know, it was kind of funny. I've always been involved in professional wrestling in one way or another. Long before I ever got in, before I actually got in the business. You know, we all start out fans.
Of course.
You know, and I'm lucky enough to have been born and partially raised in New York City. So Dad took me to the Garden as many times as we could before we moved to Chicago in '76. I was lucky enough to see Bruno Sammartino, lucky enough to see Pedro Morales, lucky enough to see Freddie Blassie and Captain Lou Albano and the Grand Wizard, and privileged, extremely proud to have been in the Garden to see the one and only superstar Billy Graham.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Graham, I know you're out there. And I know you haven't been in the greatest of health, and I just want to send a shout out to you. Superstar, you are often imitated but never duplicated, baby. You are as sweet as a German chocolate cake and as mean as a rattlesnake, and I wish you all the best.
Absolutely. Superstar Billy Graham, one of the greatest champions of all time, the man who has sold out many of shows at the Madison Square Garden down in Florida as well when he was working for Eddie Graham and
Yes, sir.
Championship Florida. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So anyway, getting back to how I got started in the business. How I got started in the business, I actually got a phone call from a young lady who needed some representation. She needed somebody to watch her back while she was in POW Entertainment. And I'm very proud to say that I was able to spend the first part of my career managing her, along with managing TaylorMade, along with managing Malad Akbar, along with managing the famous Vic Capri. I'm speaking about none other than Melanie Cruz. And for those of you who are following wrestling right now, Melanie Cruz is doing phenomenal things at AEW. And, you know, it's very easy, and don't even think about it. I know what people are going to say. Oh, Chaz, you're going to take credit for Melanie Cruz. Now, I'm not taking credit for what Melanie Cruz is doing right now, but I will tell you one thing. Melanie Cruz is a top-notch talent. I was fortunate enough to be her first manager while in POW Entertainment. She called me, I came, and the wrestling world hasn't been the same since. That's how I got started.
That's amazing. So outside of this, with professional wrestling, we also know that you've also been involved with being a top-flight ring announcer for professional boxing that's been on television as well.
You know, no, I've never done ring announcing for professional boxing. I was an accomplished amateur boxer.
Amateur boxer, right?
Yeah,
I know the highlight video we showed.
No,
your
I was
skills.
definitely a champion as an amateur. I have a record of 111, 3-1 with 78 knockouts.
Impressive.
Anybody gets in front of me, they'll look to be knockout number 79.
Yeah, right there.
I'm not worried about it in the least. Never had the pleasure of doing any ring announcing for professional boxing. You know, that's a niche that I think is best suited to the Michael Buffers and the Joe Rossies of this world. Yeah, Joe, I give you a shout out. Okay, you can stop crying now. Stop calling my phone and begging. You got your shout out. That's it. But professional boxing is always something that's been in the blood. You know, like I said, I fought as an amateur. I was smart enough to figure out that I'm not going to leave my head out there for somebody to smack around. And, you know, went to college, went to business school, got my degrees, got my licenses, started representing talent not only in the sports world, but also some talent in entertainment. And I prefer out of the sake of privacy. I don't need to discuss who those people are. They know who I am. I don't tend to be more behind the scenes when it comes to the entertainment field than I am with professional wrestling. But with that being said, I have been fortunate enough to have a client roster that has been phenomenal. I mean, you look at people that I've represented at one time or another, Allison Kay, who's the current NWA Women's Champion.
Yes, she is.
I represented a 5-time NWA World Champion in Adam Pearce. I've represented people that, you know, boggle the mind. Melanie Cruz, Rough Crossing. I mean, you name them, more than likely they've either been with me or they've stared across the ring at me.
And they probably regretted every second staring across from you.
Well, I don't know. It depends on who you talk to. Some of them might have regretted every minute of me being in their corner because now they're no longer in their corner. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway, just getting back to my favorite subject, which is me. You know, I always put a couple of posts out there, and when I'm promoting, and I'll tell people that I'm the very best at what I do, and it's true. You know, I take a wrestler, any wrestler, and I'll turn them into a contender. I'll take any contender, and I'll make them into a champion. And when they reach championship status, when they have me in their corner with a shiny gold belt around their waist, their ticket to immortality, their ticket to legendary status has already been punched. The Moretti Agency is the finest organization of talent that the world has ever known. In fact, one of my shining stars that I will love to work with from now until the day this world ends is one Saraya Knight, the queen of British wrestling.
Yes.
Mother of Paige.
Yes, as a WWE star. Absolutely.
Probably the toughest woman to ever walk the face of God's green earth. And Saraya Knight, Anytime you need me, whether it be in the States or across the pond or anywhere in the world, you call me. I'm a phone call away.
Now, speaking of top caliber wrestlers that you're planning to bring to Chicagoland Championship Wrestling with you, one of the gentlemen, and I've talked to a good friend of mine, inside source, that you have bought the contractual rights from the Chicago Connection. That is Mr. P.L. Myers, of course, who was also very well known in Chicago wrestling scene in the Midwest. His top young protege, one blue chip prospect, Matt Dewar.
Well, you know, I was going to save this as a surprise for April 4th, but since you brought it up, let's get the cat out of the bag. I have been in negotiations and talks with P.L. Myers. P.L. Myers is probably the most legendary manager to ever walk into an arena, to ever stand beside a wrestler, to ever be anywhere near a ring. I negotiated the rights to Matt Dewar, and I have purchased the rights to Matt Dewar. As they always say, I own the paper on him now. And Matt Dewar is going to be the Chicagoland Championship Wrestling champion. It is a foregone conclusion. It will happen. When will it happen? Anybody's guess. You want to find out? You keep buying tickets. You show up April 4th for the debut taping. You show up every taping after that, and I guarantee you at some point, very, very soon, Matt Dewar will be the Chicagoland Championship Wrestling champion. Now, I'll tell you what, John, since you wanted to let the cats out of the bag, so to speak.
Just a little bit.
Why don't, you know what,
Just
why don't
pull the thread back just a little bit.
That's perfect. You know, we're starting to think alike. You know, when I first met you, I didn't like you.
Well,
And I'll be honest with you, and I'll tell you why I don't like you. I don't like anybody. But I don't like you. That's for damn sure. However, now that I'm starting to talk to you, well, I don't like you, I'm starting to respect you. So since you want to let the cats out of the bag, let's let all the cats out of the bag. I will tell you right now, I'm going to announce the Moretti Agency right here, right now. Beginning April 4th, you will see a Moretti Agency that has a strength, a power, and a passion to it that has never been exhibited anywhere in professional wrestling. Matt Dewar is going to be my blue chipper. I have signed a tag team that will rival all the greats. I have signed none other than Tom Heisman and Matt Creed, collectively known as Youth Gone Wild. They are locked, signed, and sealed, and will be in attendance and will be in action April 4th under the banner of the Moretti Agency. Now, how do you feel about that?
pretty impressive list. You have Matt Dewar on one hand, who has won multiple championships in pretty much every company he's been in. And he's only, what, 23, 24 years old?
Oh, he's got many years left ahead of him.
It's scary, the potential that he has. And then you put someone like yourself in his corner, the odds-on favorite. And so I have to say, there's a lot of talent in Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, both villains and then heroes. But with you being in his corner, gives him the wild card of what can happen with his talent and your brains working together. That's scary. Then if you throw in Youth Gone Wild, which is one of the best young top tag teams, not only in the Midwest but in the country. Tom
in the
Heisman,
world.
Absolutely.
In the world.
With Tom Heisman being one of the hardest hitting young wrestlers going out there today. You know, he's the size of a cruiserweight, but he wrestles like a heavyweight.
Exactly.
And then you got Matt Creed, who's not afraid to run his mouth, who's not afraid to cause havoc with people, but he could back it up with everything that he does as well.
Exactly.
I have to say, so far, you've been knocking him out of the ballpark. And I have a feeling you're not done yet.
I'm not done yet, but there is one thing I want to address, though. You know, I've been very happy to see the resurgence of the National Wrestling Alliance. I have been most impressed with what they're doing right now. I've been extremely impressed with seeing the Rock and Roll Express back on top as World Tag Team Champions. And they claim, Ricky and Robert always claim they want to be fighting champions, that they'll take on anybody. So I'm going to lay a challenge out right here, right now. I know it's not popular to do this right now because, oh, Chaz, you know, why are you going to lay a challenge out? No one's ever seen your team. They've seen my team. They've not seen that team with me. But I'm going to lay a challenge out right now. Rock and Roll Express, anywhere in the world that you want to put up the National Wrestling Alliance World Tag Team Championships against Youth Gone Wild, I will sign that contract on their behalf, and we will meet you anywhere in the world. So go tell Lingana, go tell Corrigan that you're going to put them up against Youth Gone Wild, because if you do, when you do, if you're smart, the amount of money that that match will draw will rival any gate ever happening in any sporting event in the world. And I'm telling you guys right now, you can do what you want to do. You can ignore me. You can say no. You can say, oh, well, you guys got to prove yourselves, and that's fine. We will. But I'm telling you right now, Rock and Roll Express, there are two gentlemen eager, willing, and able to take those titles from you. And I'm talking about Youth Gone Wild. Now, John, I have one more surprise for you.
All right, Chaz, so I have to know, what is
this is awesome. You're going to love this. You know, we're in the midst of the women's revolution in professional wrestling.
Not only is women wrestling being showcased, is being treated with the respect that it finally has deserved for over all these wonderful years in the business.
You know, I'll tell you, I've been blessed that my first two clients ever in wrestling were, as I said, Melanie Cruz and Taylor Made.
Yeah.
I led them to the POW Tag Team Championships in a very, very strategic move. I mean, you know, I bought the keys to the kingdom. I bought the keys to the tag team title. I bought a referee off, and we made a pin on Psychotic Rage on Jimmy Blaze and Mitch Blake, and I don't think they ever got over it. But Melanie Cruz and Taylor Made were the POW Tag Team Champions under my tutelage. I have been blessed to represent such female talent as Nikki St. John.
Yep, very well known.
As Lane Rosario from Florida. Thunder Kitty.
Thunder Kitty, yep.
Okay. Stacy Shadows on a couple of occasions. So I've been blessed to be a small part of the women's revolution. I'm going to announce my female signing for Chicagoland Championship Wrestling.
All right.
I have signed the Queen of the Southeast, probably the toughest, meanest, most ruthless women's wrestler to ever walk, to ever step in a ring.
You don't mean...
Oh, I do mean. I mean the one and only Italian bad girl herself, Stormy Lee, has signed with Chazz Moretti. Stormy Lee will be represented by the Moretti Agency. Stormy Lee will be the Chicagoland Championship Wrestling Women's Champion. Again, there isn't one title, there isn't one championship in Chicagoland Championship Wrestling that will not reside in the trophy case of the Moretti Agency. Dewar, Youth Gone Wild, and Stormy Lee. And I'm not taking anything away from any other competitors that come into this territory, come into this promotion. But they're going to have to face members of the agency. And they're going to lose. And lose royally. So the Italian bad girl, Stormy Lee, is the last piece to the puzzle, so to speak. Stormy Lee, they're not going to know what hit him. They're not going to know what to think. But you and I are going to rule that women's division. That's a guarantee.
Impressive indeed. You know, Stormy Lee was wrestled on television. She has, of course, like you said, she's dominated the southeastern part of the United States for years. Her husband's also a pretty accomplished wrestler himself too, and he's
you know what, Francisco Chiazzo.
He's no joke.
He's no joke. Francisco Chiazzo's the real deal. You know, and I'm not going to take anything away from Frank. Frank's been awesome, but maybe Frank and I will talk at some point. Maybe not.
I know that he's been planning to come up to Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. I've spoken with him a few times. He's got a tag team partner you're familiar with, and I'm also familiar with from my previous background as being a promoter, a gentleman by the name of Jeremiah Pluckett. And Pluckett was...
really? You going to talk about him?
Yeah, well, just a little bit. The Journeyman, let's not forget, Francisco is actually a star of a movie that's based on his career and his life, The Journeyman. If you folks have never seen this film, please go out there, give it a chance, watch it. It will definitely make you want to root for the guy as much as possible. He's He's done everything he can for the wrestling business. He's one of the salt of the earth good guys.
You know, I was proud to represent Frank when he cared about winning, when he cared about money, when he cared about championships, when he cared about Frank. But from what I've seen at New South, now all of a sudden Plunkett's got his mind all twisted. They're all worried about wearing satin jackets and appeasing the people. Really?
Well, they are what you call an old school Southern throwback tag team.
Well, God bless them. But, you know,
No.
Frank, see the light at some point, Frank. Give me a call. We'll talk about it. But, you know, Plunkett, oh, my God.
No, a little bit off topic, but something that I think a lot of fans would enjoy. Definitely students of the wrestling business who are wanting to get their foot in the door and want to learn the trades properly. What advice do you actually have for young men and women who want to go into the field of being a professional, you may not like the word manager, but also agent, if you use it. What type of advice for an award-winning person like yourself who has won numerous titles for your agency work, the people that you represented, you know, what type of advice do you have for young men and women out there?
Go to school. Get an education. Make sure that you know the ins and outs of how to represent someone. Okay? It's a lot more than just standing at the ring, acting like a moron, yelling at the crowd. You've got to know how to watch the back of your client. You've got to know how to subtly ensure that they achieve victory. And that's not something that anybody can do. You hear it all the time. Oh, Chazz, you know, I'm good at yelling at people, and I can be a jerk, and I just want to stand out there, and I'll put on a sequence. Are you kidding me? Really? You think going to a costume store or going to Walmart, buying some cheap suit and a pair of sunglasses makes you me? I don't think so. After you get your education, if you're smart enough to get an education, seek out a reputable professional wrestling school and train. Learn everything that you could possibly learn about this great sport that we love. Same thing holds true for aspiring wrestlers, aspiring valets, referees, announcers. Learn the game. Be a student of the game. Notice I don't call it a business. I don't call it a fed. I don't call it a promotion. You work for promotions. You can hopefully work for a federation at some point in your career if you're good enough. But become a student first. Learn all you can. Give 100,000% of your body, mind, heart, and soul to this great sport. Live it, breathe it, and bleed for it. That's how you become successful. Is it for everybody? Absolutely not. Is it for those willing to put in the work? Yes. And now you might ask me, you might say, Chazz, you know, what are some of the more reputable schools that people can go to?
That is a good question.
You know, there's a number of reputable schools. If you're in the Chicago area, Chicago Style Wrestling has an excellent school. Freelance Wrestling has an excellent school. I was fortunate enough to be trained by Jimmy Blaze at the POW Entertainment Wrestling School. I have nothing but great things to say about the amount of training and the amount of learning that I picked up at the POW Entertainment School. While Jimmy Blaze and I don't see eye to eye, and I don't like him and he doesn't like me, that doesn't excuse the fact that POW has a reputable, top-notch school. Now, in the country, do you really want to go through the war? You really want to go through the fire? You seek out Gabriel Gallo in Phoenix, Arizona, and you go through Gabriel Gallo school, and I guarantee you, if you can survive Gallo school, you're ready for anything. If you're in Florida, go to WWN and seek out Francisco Chiazzo. Top notch. Again, if you can survive his training, then you're ready for being involved in this great sport that we love. And I hope I've accomplished that fairly succinctly.
Oh, you've done very well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, a few other questions that we do have. Now, with Matt DeWar coming in, you've gone wild, and Stormy Lee, which, my goodness, what a package.
Blew your mind, didn't it?
Oh, man, I am blown away.
I
worry,
know what I can do.
I worry for the welfare of others, I have to say. You
I'm
put
not.
together,
I could care less.
dangerous, man, dangerous. But what other blue chip prospects out there in the wrestling world that you have your eyes on? You
None.
don't mind me asking.
Not one.
Not one at all.
Not a one. I'll tell you why. Once you give the attention that a talent deserves, you don't need to be branching out to everybody. Not everybody can be part of the Moretti agency. You have to be a special kind of elite to be a member of the agency. And right now, I have a roster that I am more than thrilled about. We're going to take over Chicago style. We're going to take over Chicago style. Excuse me. We're going to take over Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, and there's nothing that's going to stop us.
Well, Chazz, I tell you what, we are definitely looking forward to having you on the TV tapings coming up on April 4th with you and your talent, your agency. For anything that folks want to follow this gentleman, what's the best way for fans to...
You can find me on Facebook at Chazz Moretti. You can find me on Twitter at RealChazzM1, because I am number one. I mean, let's face it, I'm the very best at what I do.
You have won...
I got that main event swagger, and I make all the girls stagger. Sorry, honey. I know you get mad at that. Yeah, sorry, ladies. I'm off the market. My wife's going to get upset with me, but whatever. She don't stay mad for long. So, Real Chazz M1 at Twitter. And, you really want to find me? You want to see what I do? Buy a ticket. Come out April 4th to the inaugural taping of the debut taping of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, and you'll see what Chazz Moretti's all about, live and in color.
Chazz, thank you once again for being on our show.
John, it's my pleasure.
Hey, I tell you what, we have to have you back on again, and this time we'll probably do it a little bit after the first show, and we'll talk about how you felt the very first debut show went, of the tapings, and then we'll figure out what you want to do from there, and what you have planned in store for those who, well, may stand in your way. One gentleman I know that is looking to...
Don't tell me, because I don't care.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
There's
There's no need to tell me, because there's not one man in professional wrestling that Chazz Moretti fears. Not one. So don't even bother to tell me. I don't want to know.
Well, I guess it will be a big surprise then on April 4th at the debut TV taping.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
I'll look forward to it.
Well, Chazz, once again, thank you so much for being on our show. Also, folks, if you have the chance, check out Midwest Wrestlers Reunion. That's coming up in September.
September 26th and 27th is going to be the 2020 Midwest Wrestling Reunion. That's something that's very dear and very close to my heart. It's a chance for members of the wrestling community, the wrestling fraternity, to get together and reminisce and enjoy each other's company and honor our peers. And this year, we're going to hold it over 2 days, because the first day we're going to run a festival for the fans. A little small, fan fest to get the fans involved. And the 27th is going to be, again, the luncheon that's going to be for members of the fraternity.
Absolutely.
And the sorority.
We're definitely looking forward to it. Once again, Chazz, thank you so much for being on the show, and looking forward to all you fans.
So you didn't answer my question real quick.
Oh, what?
How do you feel?
How do I feel? I gotta say.
Well, that's okay. It's all right. It's all right. People know how you feel.
I feel like $1 million bucks.
Yeah, you sure do. I'll tell you what.
I'm going to have to go and get a drink of coffee just to calm down the nerves. And
one thing I'll tell you, though, John, when you're ready, you give me a call. I'll give you my tailor's number, and we can do something with that for you.
Well, I appreciate that, Chazz. So
right.
Thanks.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah. Once again, folks, signing off. Good night, and we'll catch you again next show.
Take care.